Hey guys, I thought I would show you some Diablo 4 gameplay. Have been playing this game quite a bit these last weeks, and I have two characters here. This is a new one I created for the season 1, but this is my original one, a rogue character, which is still in the normal eternal mode. I'm here in the world tier Torment. Actually, I've been in Torment since level 65 or something, and now I'm level 78. And I thought I would maybe talk a bit about the build and I don't know, the game in general. And yeah, I would say let's start with the game. By the way, I saw Ephemeral Rift playing Diablo 4 as well, so I thought maybe I can do this too. And gotta say, it's been quite fun so far. So yeah, this is my character. I don't really know where I am. I think, yeah, looks kind of like that. I think I'm gonna talk about the build in a second. It's not a very spectacular build, probably. That's my horsey. And I'm in this weird, I don't know where I am here. Let's look at the map. I'm here, okay. I could look at Helltide maybe. So Helltide is basically a game mode where you have more enemies and you can collect a certain amount of resources with which you can then open up chests. And maybe I can check it out for like a bit more action. I wouldn't generally say that my build is like super optimized, but it's quite fun anyways. I've been having I had a good time so far. So yeah, what you generally do with this character is you start off applying vulnerable with the primary skill, and then my actual skill is called Twisting Blades. And yeah, I think honestly it's been working pretty smoothly so far, I gotta say. It's probably one of the better builds, to be honest, I think. I don't know for sure, but it's not like I've been like reading build guides or something. Gotta be a bit careful here. So yeah, you don't really see what's going on sometimes, but there's other people playing here. Maybe. Yeah. I don't really know. Some enemies here. So yeah. As you can see, sometimes my frame rate isn't so perfect. I'm sorry, but my computer is pretty old. I'm starting to notice that I should maybe update my GeForce 1080 or whatever I have. And yeah, it's a, I don't know, 7-year-old computer, so you start to notice. And there's so much stuff on it, it's just so full that you sometimes see, like, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so it's generally how Diablo looks like, probably for most people. I think they design it in a way that your character feels pretty overpowered, but I mean, honestly, going through the campaign has been quite the breeze. How good was the campaign? I think it was good. It did become a bit, I don't know, tedious in the second half, I felt like. And I didn't think the story was very logical, to be honest, and not that awesomely crafted, gotta be honest. There was some moments I just found a bit cringy, like my guy talking about, no, these are my friends. I don't want to spoiler anything, but also the ending I found a bit weird, that it just kind of like Oh, I'm almost done here. Just noticed. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's the one disadvantage of my build. It's still a bit, I guess it's called squishy. Sometimes it can be dangerous to just stand in a crowd, and it can be crowd controlled. And obviously when you're like in a nightmare dungeon, it's much harder than here. I mean, here it's kind of like a breeze to just, I can just do whatever I want, kind of. It's pretty chill, to be honest. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go back because it's a bit unrelaxing to be here. It's not super chill. And I don't know, for some reason I don't really find good stuff. So I'm gonna let him kill himself. Okay. That's because of my thorns, by the way, but I'm gonna talk about this in a second. Alright, let's go back to Kyovashad, which is kind of like the main city in Diablo 4, I would say. And yeah, I think the cities aren't really that cozy, but I think if there's any city with which I have a bit of a connection with, it's this one. I've sold so many items here, and I've used this blacksmith Zivek so much that it feels a bit nostalgic, but whatever. So yeah, let's talk about my build for a second. No, actually, sorry. Click on C. Again, I don't think my build is super optimized, but it's alright, I would say. I'm, again, level 78, so I should have mostly ancestral stuff. So let's start from the top to the bottom, I would say. Attack power 6,000. I think it should be higher, but whatever. Armor 5,795. Life 5,218. I don't know, I think here you can click on this. I haven't really looked into this, but what I did try to do is kind of like improve my critical strike damage, which is at 222. Critical strike chance 14.5%. I think this should probably be higher. And then I have vulnerable damage 112%, which I think with a recent patch, which people hate, which the community kind of hates apparently, they have significantly reduced the vulnerable damage, which is unfortunate because this build did quite heavily rely on vulnerable damage. But whatever. Let's talk about the items that I'm using. So this is a adventurous helm of the Protector. It's an ancestral helm, which has 992 armor. There's one of the traits that I used the occultist for, that I re-rolled, I think it's called. I like about this that it has more basic skill attack speed. It has a cooldown reduction 9.2%, which I think is very important, even though I think it got nerfed. It has a bit of life on kill, which is okay, and it has quite a bit of maximum life as well. So I think with the rolls I got quite lucky, to be honest, and I think I did imprint it afterwards. This is why this isn't that expensive regarding the sell value. The imprinted aspect here is very important, I think. Namely, when I damage an elite enemy, it gives me a barrier for 10 seconds, which actually, now that I look at it, really sucks. It should be higher, it should be in the 6,000 range, so I'm still looking for something better. But yeah, in general, I think one of the key weaknesses of my rogue build is that the survivability isn't that great. I think other classes, such as Barbarian or Druid, have a Fortify included usually, and the rogue doesn't. So I think the rogue really heavily relies on movement, which I think makes it more fun, just dashing around, jumping around and being really quick in general. But in this case, this really helps, I think, this one aspect. The next one is called Razor Plate. This is actually a unique chest armor I found. To be really honest, I'm not really convinced that this is so great. I think the armor value is great, but it just has one aspect or one KPI, so to say, that it gives to me, namely thorns. Which, as you saw before, it's kind of fun. You can just let people just hit you, and 8,000 damage is not bad. But usually now I would prefer to make more damage, and I think eventually I'm probably going to replace this with a better armor, which gives me other stuff like more, I don't know, just more armor in general and other cooldown reductions maybe, I don't know. I just feel like this is a bit lackluster because it only has one positive attribute. But still, Thorns is cool, and I hear that the Barbarian Thorn build is quite powerful, to be honest. So usually Rogue doesn't really have Thorns, and some other items might give me like a little bit of Thorns, but not 8,000 or 9,000, so it's kind of cool. I'm still gonna trade it eventually, I think. This is another unique ancestral item I have, Grasp of Shadow. I actually had the same one and I kind of recently upgraded it. It doesn't have awesome armor or something, but I think attack speed more is awesome. Vulnerable damage is awesome, obviously. I wish it was a bit higher. Shadow clone damage is fine, I guess. And then 3 ranks of all core skills is awesome too. And the special ability is that with a lucky hit, there is a 33% chance to summon a shadow clone that mimics my attack, and that happens quite a lot. I'm not exactly sure when a lucky hit happens, how high the percentage chance is, but having a shadow clone is great, obviously, and also the other imbuements or the other advantages it gives me are great as well. This is something that I created myself as well. I think one of the aspects I rerolled gives me 62 willpower, which isn't really what I'm trying to optimize for, but whatever. Gives me more dexterity, which is great too. Gives me more total armor, which I think is good as well, and more total damage reduction. I'm not sure which one is better, damage reduction or total armor. But I think it's good to have a lot of armor, so that's good. And I also feel like this attribute it has is great. Each stack of the momentum key passive heals you for 99 life per second. And as I have the momentum key passive in my build, I think that's a solid thing as well. I might replace it eventually because I don't really profit from the willpower so much. I'm not sure, but I think it's very good, to be honest. And I don't tend to find so many good items, I feel like. These are some boots that I have replaced quite recently as well. As you can see, I rerolled one thing and it gives me 17 all stats, which is cool as well. It gives me 4 ranks of dash, which is awesome. It gives me dexterity, which is awesome, and also energy cost reduction, which is awesome as well. It gives me an additional charge of shadow step, which is one of my skills, which is very useful, I find. And also killing an enemy with shadow step, which happens quite a lot, refunds a charge and increases the damage of shadow step by 4%. I mean, I wish I had 6%, obviously, but it's not perfect. So this crossbow I don't really use, but it's very, very important for my build anyways. Because of the special ability of Twisting Blades. Twisting Blades is my core skill, and this gives me 30% additional damage. And basically, when you see something turning around me, this is the special ability of my Twisting Blades, and this only makes my build very good in a way. I think this one imprintment makes or breaks this skill, and it makes it almost a bit too powerful, I feel like. Still, it's a ton of fun, and it's basically like having a constant Thorns or constant Supernova, because you usually, when you kill enemies, you're gonna have like these blades twisting around you and constantly making damage. I don't know why somebody wants to invite me here. I'm sorry, I'm a lone wolf player. I tend to always play alone, by the way. So yeah, I re-rolled this one aspect, 70% damage to close enemies. That's pretty crazy, I feel like. 43% critical strike damage. That's pretty insane as well. 69 damage to slowed enemies. That's not that useful. But 43% core skill damage is also awesome because Twisting Blades is my core skill, and this is basically my main damage dealer. And it also has like this emerald on it. What else? To be honest, my rings are a bit lackluster. This is only sacred, but I feel like some of the stuff is not bad. 4.5% damage reduction is okay. 8.5% damage reduction from distant enemies. It's pretty good too. I re-rolled this. 22% damage reduction while injured. That's okay, I guess. 2 ranks of all imbuement skills. That's okay as well. And what's most important about this is this skill that I have imbued here. It's dealing direct damage to a vulnerable enemy has up to a 56% chance to daze them for 2 seconds. So I always have enemies vulnerable. This is what the whole build is basically made for. And also dazing is really useful because this triggers my momentum skill, which helps a lot from the survivability perspective, I guess. Okay, so this is a ring which is just sacred, to be honest. I feel like the 10% physical damage, the maximum life, it's a bit lackluster, but the critical strike chance, that's pretty solid. I mean, it should be higher, probably 2% is probably not a big effect. But here again, the skill that I have on it is quite important. Killing a vulnerable enemy grants you 64% increased energy regeneration for 4 seconds. And this is the main variable, I think. Number 1 is survivability, and number 2 is really energy regeneration, because if you don't have energy, you can't cast Twisting Blades, and if you don't cast Twisting Blades, you're not gonna make that much damage. It's really, Twisting Blades is really the key thing that that is my damage output, so it's really important. This is an ancestral unique ring I found, Mother's Embrace it's called. I'm not 100% sure if this is that important for my build, but I just thought it's unique, so I should probably use it. I think the 18% all stats is awesome. 6% lucky hit chance is awesome too. 10% critical strike damage is pretty awesome too. Wish it was a bit higher. So here in the parentheses you see the range. And 14% overpower damage is good too. I'm not exactly sure how overpower damage works, to be honest, but I think it's probably good to have a high number here. Here it says if a core skill hits 5 or more enemies, 35% of the resource cost is refunded, which is a bit weird. I mean, my core skill is Twisting Blades, and it's oftentimes hitting more than 5 enemies, but it's not that expensive. I'm not sure. It could be really useful. I could not really understand how useful it is, but I think my Twisting Blades cost, let's check it out here, it costs 27 energy, and so I guess if this hits a lot of energy, I might get like, I don't know, 35%. That's probably like 7 energy back. That's good, but it's not wow awesome. It's not like build breaking. I think, yeah, this one is kind of build breaking, this Twisting Blades super effect, whatever you want to call it. It's basically turning Twisting Blades from like a mediocre core skill into a super powerful skill. So if you're using this build, you gotta have this imprintment, this aspect, or whatever you call it. So my 2 weapons, I use swords because of the critical strike damage. Sometimes I've been using daggers as well. I'm not sure if those are great, to be honest. Sometimes I feel like I should replace them, but I think they have okay damage per second. So this one has 1200 damage per second. It has solid critical strike damage. I re-rolled this one, which gives me critical strike damage with imbued skills. Not super happy about it, but whatever. It gives me more damage to close enemies, which I think is good because I'm always close to enemies. And it gives me also more overpower damage, which is probably good. I think this imprintement is solid because it gives me, so attacking enemies with a basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill. And I usually tend to mix up basic skill and core skills, so I think this is valuable. This is my other weapon, so I'm always double-handed, two-handed. 57% basic skill damage, it's good as well, it's great actually, but I don't really use my primary skill, my basic skill for damage, so whatever. Lucky hit is fine as well. 28% damage to distant enemies is good as well, but I don't really deal too much damage to distant enemies, so it's kind of useless. 68% dexterity, I re-rolled. It's good actually, it helps my core damage. But what's really important here is the imprintment. Making an enemy vulnerable has up to a 54% chance to grant 3% increased critical strike damage for 3 seconds. So this sounds a bit weird and mathematical, and I'm not even sure if this is that helpful. But since I always make enemies vulnerable, I feel like I usually have 9% more critical strike chance, which I think is a lot, and which I think is really important. Here I have some other items which I should probably sell soon, but whatever. I have tons of different nightmare things. I think the highest nightmare dungeon I've done so far is 30 or something, which sometimes is kind of smooth and sometimes it's kind of hard if people freeze me all the time. Yeah, I think these are some aspects that I got rid of. What else can I show you? I think here I'm kind of proud to say that I just recently finished all the region progress. I didn't find all the altars of Lilith, unfortunately, but I think the main stuff I did do, so this is quite satisfying to do, obviously. I'm not like a completionist character type of player, but still I think it's quite important to do this stuff to get the Paragon points. Okay, so now what I want to show you is just my build, which I think is very important. And by the way, with the specializations which you get with level 15 or something, I tend to use this one. I'm not sure. Inner sight, I'm a bit too lazy to always kill specific enemies, so this one I think is solid. So let's go to the abilities tree. Let's start first with the skill tree. And I think here, again, not a big surprise maybe, I use puncture as my basic skill. This is basically some kind of daggers which are thrown. So let me read it. Throw blades a short distance, dealing 2080 to 2400 damage. Every third cast slows enemies by 20% for 2 seconds. Critical strikes are always slow, blah blah blah. So I have some modifiers here. This one gives me more energy when I puncture a crowd control enemy, which isn't actually that great because I don't think I really crowd control enemies that much, to be honest. So I don't know if that's even helpful. And this one I think is quite helpful. Puncture now throws 3 blades in a spread, each dealing 35% of its base damage. Hitting an enemy with at least 2 blades at once makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. So yeah, the vulnerability is very important, and I think that's the main reason why I'm doing this. This is quite good to apply vulnerable. I did at the beginning use Invigorating Strike, which can also be used to apply vulnerable, but here it's a bit confusing, to be honest. It basically says you have to have below 50% energy, and sometimes that didn't really work for me. But this can be great as well because this also boosts your energy restoration, and this is another thing again that is very important for me. I think those other skills are more for archers, which I didn't specialize in. This one could be good as well, but it's a bit confusing too, moving through enemies, I don't know. Here I have Twisting Blades again. This is my main skill, my main damage dealer, and luckily I think with my gauntlets that I have, this has +3 in Twisting Blades. This is very important, and this is really the main thing that gives me my damage. This is my main damage contributor. And here, this is really important. And this is, I think I have the dazed one. The other one could be good as well to basically reduce cooldowns, which I hear is really important. But I feel that dazed is important as well because basically it helps with my final momentum skill, which is down here. All right, let's go further. So here I have that. I have this as well, sturdy, which helps with survivability, 12% close damage reduction, plus siphoning strikes basically gives me critical strikes against close enemies have up to 75% to heal for 3% of my maximum life. It's not that much, but it's something, I guess. It helps. Okay, here next. I have, first of all, Shadow Step, which is pretty great. It basically jumps behind enemies and gives me unstoppable, which is really important because in later stages of the game, lots of enemies will just freeze you or crowd control you, and this is quite important for that purpose. And also it gives me some other benefits. Basically, it gives me more critical strike damage for the enemy that I target, and some other advantages as well, which I think are great. So it stuns enemies, which again is good for the momentum final ability that I have, and it's pretty good. To be honest, for a while I had another skill instead of this one, namely I had the what again? I had these things that were circling around me. I forget what the name was. Let me find it for a second. Not caltrops, not dash. It was just, this one. I had the Dark Shroud instead of it, which was amazing as well, which gave me lots of movement speed, and at the beginning you don't have the horse yet, so actually this made me really quick. But then I noticed in a battle I just lose the Dark Shroud too quickly, so it's not really that viable for my build. It's maybe more viable for an archer, but I get hit quite a lot, so I changed it for this one, even though sometimes I feel like I forget to use it, to be honest. Then I have dash, which is important too. It's just great to dash around and it's just fun. And to be honest, when you play the campaign, almost every boss has some abilities that it's important to dash around and to avoid some kind of hard-hitting ability. So it's great. It also gives me a bit of damage and a bit of dazed, which again is good for my final ability. Here I don't have anything, to be honest. I did have Poison Trap at the beginning for a while, but it did kind of slow me down, and later on I just kind of dashed through dungeons and I'm almost too lazy to use this. It's quite powerful as well. At the beginning I had more of a poison build, but now I don't really use it. Instead I have this one, Agile. It reduces cooldowns here. I don't really do stealth, so this one is not something I use, but I have this one, Exploit, which gives me 18% increased damage to healthy and injured enemies, and this one too, which it gives me increased damage to vulnerable enemies, which is very important for my build. Again, I think Dark Shroud is awesome, but I don't use it anymore. Here I use Shadow Imbuement because it kind of explodes. It's kind of cool. It basically, two reasons why I use this. The first one is that it explodes. The second one is that it applies vulnerable, which is awesome as well. And I feel like Poison Imbuement could be cool, and I thought about maybe using Poison Trap with Poison Imbuement and use at the same time the Death Trap, which has a lot of synergy as well, which I did do at the beginning, but now I'm doing Shadow Imbuement, which is kind of badass, to be honest. And it's cool, but then again I would like to try the other ones as well. I think I built this one a bit, so each time you kill an enemy with shadow damage you generate 30 energy, which is important because energy is always key. Again, I feel like there's a bit more synergy with poison stuff in total, but I'm happy with the choice I made here. Okay, here, at the beginning I gotta say I had Death Trap as well, but then I went for Shadow Clone just because I felt like this was a bit too short. It's only like 1 second long basically. Maybe it can be longer eventually, but this one is actually 15 seconds long, which is pretty awesome, I think, to be honest. So the Shadow Clone is basically, I think it's visually a bit less appealing than the Death Trap, but it's pretty awesome. And also what's great about it gives you unstoppable, which means you're not crowd controlled. And also the Shadow Clone does, I feel like, a lot of damage. Sometimes the Shadow Clone targets other enemies, but also I very much feel like against bosses, which can give you really trouble. Like if I were to challenge Uber Lilith eventually, something like Shadow Clone, which will be much more useful as opposed to like a Death Trap, which is just looks cool because all the enemies get sucked into like a dark hole and get some damage. What is that? Up to a 20% chance to gain 8 energy. Yeah, I think that's good with the energy again, but the rest I felt like wasn't that useful. Maybe this one could be useful, but after level 40 or something, you don't get more points here, so I used it for something else. This one gives me more energy as well when I use my ultimate skill. This is cool too, 15% energy regeneration, important as well. And this is again something that gives me more movement speed, which is awesome as well, or attack speed. I feel like speed is just more fun to be quick, I feel like. So within the final skill tree, I chose this one. I found this a bit confusing, to be honest, and at the beginning I wasn't sure, but it does look like this is mostly active. So basically, cutthroat skills grant a stack of momentum skill for 8 seconds if either hit a stunned, dazed, or frozen enemy. And since I mostly have dazed enemies from my skills, this usually applies. And also hit an enemy from behind. This happens with Shadow Step. And this just helps a lot with my survivability, I feel like, because it gives me 20% increase in damage reduction. This is really important. 30% energy regeneration, which is really important too, and the movement speed is fun too. I think this one could be useful as well, because it basically gives me... no, actually it's not useful because I don't really do traps. This would be good for traps. This is more good for marksman skills. This I think I looked into because I'm using vulnerable a lot. Maybe this could be better, but I feel like momentum is quite good. And this one I think is better for traps. So yeah, these are my skills. I'm quite happy with them. It's my build always felt super powerful. By the way, I have 46 million gold. I should do something about this. This is ridiculous. I wish this was real life, by the way, but whatever. So in the Paragon board, I feel like I didn't really know what I was doing, but I tried to kind of go for vulnerable damage. And here I should probably redo this to really meet the extra requirement. Here, critical strike damage is important, obviously. I think I went... Which side did I go on? Do you even see this? I think I went on both sides kind of to get the more armor, but also to get more damage. Here I have the glyph, which gives me more cutthroat skill damage. I feel this makes sense because my twisting blade is cutthroat. And this is my legendary node, which gives me exploit weakness. Whenever you deal damage to a vulnerable enemy, take 1% increased damage from you for 6 seconds up to 15%. I'm not sure if this is good, but I just felt it probably synergizes well with my vulnerable damage. I feel like most of the Paragon points are a bit strange and a bit complicated, and also the glyphs. I'm not sure if I have all of them, but they're a bit lackluster, I feel like sometimes, but whatever. Okay, so here this glyph gives me more physical damage. I just picked this one, I don't know, because I could meet the requirements. And I have a rare node which gives me more damage to elites, more physical damage. This is the legendary node, which basically just gives me... Yeah, your marksman skills grant you your next cutthroat skill 25% increased damage. So I think this is basically good for my two skills. My basic skill is marksman, I think, and my twisting blades, my core skill is cutthroat. So as I'm mixing up both all the time anyways, I feel like I constantly have a 25% increased damage, which I feel like is probably kind of true. Here, more critical strike damage is important as well. Here I went for the legendary node, which gives me more ultimate skill damage, 30%, and also 10% increased damage for 20% when cast. So I don't always have this active, but still I feel like it's probably useful. When there's like a hard mob, I tend to use my shadow clone, so having 30% more damage plus more of my own damage, it's pretty good. And here I have this. I'm probably gonna go for this as well to get a bit more damage. But yeah, honestly, I'm a bit unsure if this was done correctly. I should probably reskill this eventually because I feel like sometimes I wasted some points. Okay, this one is good, I think, 20% vulnerable damage. But if you look at my skills here, I don't feel like I did a really good job because everything here is equal. I think I should probably focus on either intelligence to have more critical strike chance or on strength to have just more energy regeneration. Willpower, I think, is not that important, to be honest. But yeah, I didn't really manage to do it. I just tried to kind of reach the points, and I think I should probably redo this eventually. And I also feel like maybe I should pick better glyphs. This one here, again, gives me just more physical damage, I think. Yeah, because I deal physical damage, right? This one gives me more cutthroat skill damage, and this one gives me just more critical strike damage. There's one that also helps with vulnerable. I'm just not sure, to be honest. Sometimes I feel like those requirements are really hard to meet, and I feel like this is something that I could be improving. But I think I'm somewhat ambitious that I want to, now in the later stages of the game, I do want to improve, obviously, my build. But I'm not one of those professional min-maxers that is really looking into everything and trying to optimize every single aspect of it. And yeah, I've been having quite a lot of fun with it so far. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Again, I think I should probably go into the first season, and I'm thinking about which character. Look at this. This sometimes happens. I feel like this clipping error, it's kind of fun. So I think I'm gonna maybe go with a Necromancer as a next build, or I might go with yeah, I never get something good anymore. Like 90% of my stuff is just sacred stuff. I'm sorry, but this just isn't that useful anymore. So again, I think for the season 1, I think I'm gonna go with Necromancer. I would like to go with Sorcerer as well, but I feel like it's not that powerful, to be honest. I don't know. What else? Oh look, there's an Altar of Lilith, which I haven't used yet. Interesting. I should go there. Look, you always see new stuff. Oh, there's so many enemies here, I feel like I almost have to do something. Okay. So honestly, I think this is pretty cool about this build. It's pretty crazy, because at the beginning you just kind of, what I usually do is I launch these to apply vulnerable, and then I tend to basically plant these twisted blades in it like this, and then eventually stuff starts to explode as well. No, I forgot one step. I usually put my shadow imbuement on my weapon, then I apply my primary skill, then I use twisting blade, and now you will see basically it starts to spin around me, and this starts to deal damage. Let's see, actually. Okay, gotta be a bit careful. And this is what the shadow imbuement looks like, or no, sorry, this shadow step. So basically I'm gonna use it here. Boom, I'm just jumping behind here, and this is how this works. Then the dash looks like this. It can be kind of fun to just dash around. And then my shadow clone looks like this. You see it next to me, and every time I attack, the shadow clone will also attack. Yeah, what is this gonna help me with? It's just gonna help with my cooldowns. So yeah, I'm not good at finding those. I think I only found like half of them. So yeah, this is a bit more action now, because as you see, those are more powerful enemies, obviously. Yeah. So is the sword any good? Probably not. Yeah, this, I don't really stand still. As you can see, probably I just dash around quite a bit. That's the way I like to play this. I don't want to do this probably. This, I don't know, these events are kind of annoying, to be honest. They're kind of fun, but eventually you get tired of them. I think maybe I can use this one, these little sellers, so to say. Could use this as a little test of my damage. I think probably at this point I should probably mostly do nightmare dungeons, which I tend to do. But, yeah. Where did this guy disappear? Is he still here? Oh, he's there. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, so he's actually taking damage from just hitting me. That's fun. So, yeah, getting a chest. Yeah, but as you can see, my computer is struggling a bit. Sometimes I feel like my frame rate is a bit low. And I did take a bit of damage, as you can see, which is cool. However, what is cool, however, is that I do regenerate my health, and I feel like the druid doesn't. I started like a playthrough with my druid, and he doesn't regenerate health, which I think is a bit unfortunate, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Oop. Should I do like a bit of gameplay in like a dungeon? I thought about this. This is actually something I haven't discovered yet. I'm really ashamed almost. But yeah, what else? I think the game, honestly, I think it's been quite a bit of fun. There's like a Legion event or a world boss happening here. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do this. It's a bit chaotic to look at. But where am I here? I lost a bit. Yeah, why didn't I discover this? It's embarrassing. So yeah, what's going on here? I don't know if I want to do this, to be honest. I think what I would probably prefer to do is a dungeon, right? This one? It's actually pretty far away. I think I'm gonna get rid of this place. But yeah, I mean, honestly, people really hate this game right now because of the patch, which I think they just really made vulnerable significantly worse. I still think it's a lot of fun, the game. Especially the rogue. I was really lucky that this was my first character I picked, because it's just, I don't know, it's exactly what I enjoy doing, just dashing around, clicking around. By the way, what I can really recommend doing is using your mouse. I do have like a bit of a gaming mouse, and I used short keys. So to the side of my keyboard, basically, I have my different abilities, so I don't have to click on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever the key bindings are. I think this really helps me. I think this makes me like a more flexible player. I did feel like, again, the campaign was a bit, storytelling-wise, I didn't love everything about it. It was just not that logical. I guess Diablo never had the best story, but just comparing it to like a Baldur's Gate, I think, or like a Divinity Original Sin, or whatever you want to compare it to, it is a bit lackluster. I think I should take some potion to increase my just my experience gained. But yeah, I should probably do nightmare dungeons more. And I think I'm gonna start with my new character again. I think I might be choosing like a necromancer, or maybe a druid, or I don't know yet. Barbarian seems to be a bit boring, but I think it could be interesting too. Sorceress could be good too. I don't know. So yeah, again, other dungeons a bit boring sometimes. Eventually, not really. I mean, I think it's still fun and enjoyable. I just kind of dash through them sometimes and let people hit me. But also, yeah, I should probably be doing other types of dungeons now. I should do the, what is it called again? The, nightmare dungeons, yeah, at my level. What is this? Okay, that's cool. Always critical strikes. That's pretty cool. Okay, what else? Yeah, but honestly, I feel like my character has always been a bit too strong because, I don't know, I think the Twisting Blades thing that I have going on is a bit too powerful because it's just so great. But maybe it's the same with other characters. I haven't really tested it out yet, but could really be the build. I have no idea. Yeah, but yeah, to be honest, some people say Diablo 2 was so much greater, and to be honest, I never really played it because I really wanted to play it. I was really obsessed with Diablo 2, but I don't know, I felt I was too poor to spend the money, and I couldn't get like a cracked version of it. So I never really bought it and played it. Instead, I played Baldur's Gate 2, which I could crack, to be honest. Yeah. So yeah. But now I do feel I did play Diablo 3 also, to be honest. I didn't buy it, so I never really played the multiplayer stuff. I just played the campaign, which is not much, but now I did actually buy the game. I could afford it, and honestly, $70 is quite a lot of money, but I think it's money well spent because just the combat in and of itself is just very quick and just fun. I don't know. It does feel, I mean, there's not that many skills in a way. It feels like, okay, I have every battle is kind of the same. I'm using this ability and then this ability, and then basically this happens. But I think that's fine. I think you probably can't use more than 5 skills. So basically here you have these skills which you define. Yeah, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Chamber of Calling, where is it? Okay, can I fight the boss already? I could maybe, right? Okay, so let's see. So yeah, the bosses, to be honest, do kind of like repeat themselves. But as you can see, obviously, yeah, they're a bit too easy now. But yeah, I think honestly it's probably similar with most characters that are level 78 or something that go into normal dungeons. It just did help historically to increase my like reputation or whatever. Oops, now again you see some frame rate drops, which are unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yep. I don't know what else I could do next. You know what? I think I probably, looking at my character and my build, I think I want to... it would be nice to have better rings, but I don't even know if there's much to do anymore. I think since just today I finalized all these regions, so I don't feel like there's that much left to do, aside from maybe doing the final capstone dungeon and actually killing Uber Lilith. But it says level 100 plus, and I feel like probably I'm too weak for that. I don't know, and I don't want to just have to optimize my build that much. So I think what I'm going to do is trying the other characters out. I've actually tried the druid already, which I did find quite fun. I was using like a bear who was just hitting the ground all the time. At the same time, it felt a bit one-dimensional, I guess, and I did miss the great speed that I had with my character here. So I don't know yet. I don't know yet how much longer I'm gonna play the game. Sometimes on Reddit I read how pissed off everybody is about the changes, but to be honest, it really doesn't affect me that much. I also don't really care that there's like a shop, to be honest, because I never really used it, and I don't really care about the... I mean, if people buy these aesthetics and I'm able to enjoy the game without having like pay-to-win mechanisms, I don't really mind so much. So I don't really know why people complain about this stuff so much. I don't really know. So, yeah. Some stuff I don't really understand why they increased like the The duration to teleport out of a dungeon, I don't really understand why that is. But oh, that's a new campaign. I still have some campaigns ongoing, to be honest, some side quests. Some of them are somewhat interesting, but like in general, you can't expect too much. But this isn't why people play this game. People play this game to have lots of enemies and to feel powerful, and this is definitely something I think that they managed well. At least with this character, it does feel pretty powerful, to be honest. Yeah, as you can see, the performance also gets a bit worse now. But yeah, have had a good time. This is my build. It's probably not that spectacular of a build, but yeah, if you play this game as well, please tell me which build you have, which build you enjoy. I can only recommend the Rogue, and I think I might actually be interested in also trying like a barrage build, like one with a with like a bow or with a arbalest, because it could be really fun, to be honest, and I think it could be powerful too. I don't know how powerful really, and I do feel like the twisted blades and people just dying from just standing next to me, it's pretty powerful. Yeah, I'm obviously in the highest difficulty, so I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. But then going into nightmare dungeons with like level 30, then sometimes the enemies just don't die and they almost one-shot you. So there was one dungeon that I actually failed at doing because there was this vampire who always froze me and just killed me, and I actually lost my 4 lives, so that also happens. I want to be all transparent. But at the same time, I feel like during the campaign, no boss really managed to kill me, and I had the second difficulty setting, and I felt like maybe it could be a bit more difficult. Maybe I'm a bit like... I do enjoy difficult games like Neo and Dark Souls and Elden Ring recently, and still, I did enjoy this game. I'm not sure how much I'm going to continue playing it, to be honest. I've been playing it alone, which I do enjoy more, I feel like. And yeah, I don't know, it's been fun. That's my character, a rogue twisting blade build, and I'm level 78. I'm probably not gonna go to level 100, but so far it's been quite some fun. And yeah, let's see if I'm gonna continue to play. Alright, thank you so much. Goodbye.